Give it a second. Okay, we're good. Hello, everyone. We are back. Unfortunately, we did have a guest who could not join us today, but we are here for our episode 7 recap. I got myself, Jay Milligan, your co-host, as always, Marvin Burgos, and a special guest today. We finally got one. We've been asking all season, Kylie Scruggs. Kylie, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. So excited to talk about this season.
All right, sounds good. And Marvin, how are you doing as well?
I am good, but I actually had a question for Kylie before we go into the recap. Up to this point that you've seen, who are you rooting for?
Ooh, okay, that's a good question. Including this recent episode that we're going to talk about,
Yes.
like up until right now. Okay, I have loved watching McKenna. I think she's been really fun to watch, and she also has had some really fun confessionals, which we'll talk about. I really loved how she got kind of fired up in this episode. It's like she's kind of reaching her climax. So she's been entertaining this whole time, but I'm really excited to see like her the most. I think what happens after this moving forward. So I'm liking a lot of them, and I do have like a lot of friends on the cast, but like I've really been enjoying her game specifically.
And how have you been thinking about the season so far? Obviously, you have a lot of friends, but like watching it, I'm sure they didn't tell you anything as far as I know. So like, how has it been seeing them play out and seeing them kind of like we're seeing they're starting to attack a little bit each other at this point now. How does that make you like what are your thoughts overall?
Yeah, no, it's been really fun. I think like some of the votes are kind of straightforward in the beginning, but for the most part, it's been quite chaotic, which I love. Like I love the chaos. And the last 2 votes specifically, like Lily is my friend and I hated to see her go, but also like that vote was so entertaining. It was like, oh my God, like who's actually gonna go home? So I think it is, I don't know, it's been really fun. Like some of the episodes I have been sold that like one person's gonna go home by, and then by the end of it, it's like someone different. So that's always like the mark of a good season, I think. So I've really enjoyed it and I've like looked forward to all the episodes every week.
I can confirm on the day of that's what that was happening. We're like, oh, this person's going home. We're like, never mind, this person might be going. Like generally, like I edited it, try to like how it felt on the day of. So yeah. Other than that, we go to the episode. There was a slight editing mistake, but we'll get to that because I accidentally copied it in the beginning. We're going to skip right over that and ignore that it happened. It's going to be fixed, and this will be weird order, but I have to go and fix it. We go in. I say, all right, we're in our final 9. We're going to get to your next and unique challenge. And this is actually a challenge I did steal from, I have to give them credit, John Dennis, who had this in season 1 of Warped Tour. And that I saw them do it in their org. I was watching it closely, and I really liked this challenge, and I was like, "Ooh, I can do this!" And but it was like the regular one. They went on live and did 6. They did the 6 right up, right? So I was like, I really like this challenge. I asked John to do it, and I decided to break it up into heats, right? So basically, this challenge is called Leaning Tower. We break it up into heats, so you have to bounce a ping pong. So you have to bounce a ping pong ball into a cup, and then you have to do that 3 times, and then you have to stack the cup. So like, I'm going to bounce a ping pong ball into this cup. I'm going to stack the cup on top of it, ping pong ball, stack the cup on top of it, bounce another ping pong ball in. I'm done. Right, I'm gonna do that for 3, 5, and 6. So we get into it, and obviously we have the first heat, which is the first 5 to go 3, and then we have the next heat, which is the first 3 to get is the first 3 to get no. So it's first 5 to 3, first 3 to 5, and then the last one to get 6. The first heat, I believe we have we have Elijah, Victoria, Ian, and who were the other ones that got through? I think it was it John? No. Kyle got through.
Kyle and McKenna made it to the second round.
Wow. Kyle McKenna, that's it. Kyle McKenna, yep. And how we go to the next heat, we have Victoria, Elijah, and Ian moving on.
Yeah.
And now we go through it. Ian's knocking him out. Ian's coming up. All of a sudden, Elijah, bam, 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 up to 5. All of a sudden, Elijah has 1 more left. Ian's sitting there trying to struggle with that last cup. Ian had a lead. Ian feels it going. Victoria's struggling a little bit. She's far out. All of a sudden, Elijah wins immunity. We see everyone come on camera.
Challenge beast.
Yep, and you see everyone come on camera, and their faces are not happy. Can we talk about that? Everyone's just like, "Are you kidding me? Not again!" They're like, he was supposed to be out last round. He won immunity. He won immunity again, and now like. It's like, are you kidding me? So now overall thoughts, I think Elijah was he's good at these challenges, man. Yeah. All around beast.
Like I had mentioned at the last recap, Elijah knows that he needs to win these or else he's going to go. I mean, the first confessional that we see or, strategizing was Victoria saying, had Elijah not won this, he would have already been gone.
Yeah. Well, and if that wasn't the case before, it definitely is now after this too, winning 2 back-to-back.
Right. And the thing is, Elijah's a very smart guy. Like, we all know Elijah. We know how smart he is. Elijah knew. Elijah knows 100% this. If he loses immunity at this point, he's going home. Like, he knows that he has his name's. Will he go home? Don't know. But, like, he's going to know his name's going to be one of the top ones out there. So he's going to do whatever he can to, like, get it off the table. And the best way to do that is by winning immunity. Like, 100%. Like, so I can't blame him. I think he knows my back's against the wall. I'm not as close to some of these people. Again, we said this last night. He knows he's not as close to these people as they are to each other. And I think we really see him know that. And I think that's what's great about his game. He has the self-awareness to know, I'm going to beast it out because it might be my only option at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So then otherwise we get into scramble and all of a sudden we're seeing people like, everyone just in there like, wow, what are we going to do? I don't know. What are you going to do? Because it's the same thing as last round because, clearly that's like, well, the easy vote's not on the table now. So what are you going to do? I don't know. What are you going to do? And it's just a back and forth thing. We do see like a lot of people saying like we were just trying to figure out what was going on that last vote. Because people, what you got to remember is we go tribal council, challenge, and then scramble. So they don't get the time to process or thinking about like who voted for who. They go right into a challenge. So they get out of the challenge. Everyone's like, what happened on that vote? Why was there 5 votes on Lily? Why was there 4 votes? What, like, and we see them like kind of going out. We do get the episode title from there from McKenna. Names just kept coming out. Like,
this confessional of McKenna too, like she was so mad. I thought it was so entertaining because you could just see on her face, like she was just so angry because she didn't know what happened last vote, which like whenever someone's that mad, I think it's so interesting because it's like, what are they going to do? What's going to happen next?
Right, exactly. I think it's funny. Like McKenna was like, I'm mentally not okay. I'm physically drained. I'm mentally drained. I don't know what's happening anymore. Yeah, I'm hungry, which is like totally feel that. Like I was hungry that day of. Like you're in the zone. You don't have time to be thinking about eating and stuff like that. So it's obviously seeing it starting to affect the castaways now. But yeah, I do think you said before you do have a good quote out of that confessional too, right?
Yeah, but I think it might be a little bit later, or maybe it is that one, but she says something, she's like, this feels like garb.
Yeah.
And it's just like so funny. Like I will say that from now on.
McKenna, yeah, right. McKenna is just so funny. Like a confessional, she just like, what is going on? I don't know what's going on. I'm just here for a ride. And I think like it's funny because we do see McKenna like, she's like, I'm here for a ride, but I do think we see like, I think compared to like what I've seen in McKenna before, she's picking this game a little more strategically than I think I've seen before, which I think she's starting to come out a little bit in her eyes is like, hey, I'm not going to be taken for advantage anymore. I think she's becoming like a really interesting character in this overall.
I mean, I know like the one thing that stuck out to me was after that confessionals when she went into a room with Carrie and Victoria, and then she's like, I don't know what to do because I really don't know who to trust in this game. And I think she realizes that. And I feel like at that point, she knows that she could possibly be next, especially with her voting with Lily last round, right?
Yeah.
No,
her and Carrie
no,
vote.
actually, no.
No, her and Carrie voted for Ian. Lily threw a vote on John.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Well, true. But they were all working together. It was just like Lily didn't vote for Ian the way that they did.
Right. Exactly. Ultimately, we do end up seeing that. McKenna's like, I'm aware my name's coming out, and we see that someone like John is pushing her name because John wants this big threats alliance that's going to end up taking control of the game, and he wants those, those little under radar people gone. So like now leaves Carrie McKenna, and he's closer with Carrie than he is McKenna. So now he's going to push McKenna's name. We see, him saying like, let's keep the threats together. Let's keep the threats together. Let's go for McKenna. McKenna's name's coming out. But then we get to Victoria. Victoria is not letting that happen. Victoria wants John gone. And Bill wants John gone. And then we see like ultimately, people are starting to turn on John. We're like, what's gonna happen here? Then people are throwing Ian's name out. We're seeing the mix of here and again scrambled names. But then we get what do you got anything stick out about this scramble to you guys specifically? Because I'm biased, I edited, so it's like
so like the thing that stuck out was like you had mentioned Victoria. Victoria saying, yeah, I think what had happened last round with the Lily vote is that all these strong competitors, like the strong threats and whatnot, are coming together, which I found really interesting because she's pinning that on the guys, not including herself, because she was involved in that vote.
Mm-hmm.
Right, we kind of see a good, speaking on page of Victoria, we see a good confession with her. She's like, no, I'm okay with this like back and forth middle ground strategy. Like I'm gonna take out a threat and somebody who might be a little lower, and kind of bring people that can get me before I can eat them. We see Victoria starting to like show that we're like, okay, Lily was a little more under radar, but now I want to go for someone bigger like the Johns. And we see Victoria's like trying to develop a story for herself in the end road. I think Victoria realizes that like, okay, I'm on the bottom of this threats alliance, but I do need some of these lower people out. So I think Victoria realizes and is kind of setting up a good long game plan for her right here.
Yeah, well, she says also like she's really ready to make a big move. So it's like interesting to hear her thought process as to like what that means to her. Because it's like she has two options. Like she didn't work with the girls last time, so like she could take out one of them the way that Ian, Kyle, and John have said like they were wanting to take off the sleepers or what, I don't remember what they called them, but the people that were like scooting by.
Yeah.
So it's like that could be a big move in her mind, but also like taking someone out like John or Ian could also be a big move as well. So it's like interesting to hear how she decided.
Right. I think it's a good thing for her to be like, hey, let's go for John. John just played an idol. Let's get him out now. Like before we don't have a chance, he could find another one. We know John's found multiple idols in past. Victoria's played a game with John. She's seen John find an idol. She knows that John can find idols. So I think, this is something she's like, John's a threat. She's starting to really plant the seed in the people's heads. And then we see kind of Bill follow onto it. I would like to get John out. What are you guys thinking? And we see the seeds start building, but it's still Ian and McKenna are out there, and now it's floating. But then near the end of the scramble round, we're starting to see everyone's starting to get on page with John.
Right? I think this is one of the last scrambles, but there's it's a scramble room with Ian, Bill, John, and Kyle, I think, if I remember that correctly. And they're all talking about how, or maybe it's Elijah, not Bill, but there's like four of them talking about how everyone's saying John, and everyone's like, okay, but like, I don't want John, like, I don't want that to happen. And Kyle doesn't say anything, which I found so interesting because like the rest of them are all just like, yeah, like, we don't want that to happen. We're with you, John. And then Kyle's just like, and it's so obvious because it's like he does want John out, but like he's still kind of playing that side as well. So I think that was kind of what led to like John being a little bit blindsided.
Right. And I think we do see that in one of Kyle's confessions. He's like, yeah, I would like John out this round. Like he knows John can play. I think we see this like John plan kind of forming, but it's like, does it happen? Does it not? And we kind of see like, people were starting to think about it. I think we got a breakout room with a few people, and it was like, they were like, what do we do? And it's just like constant, like, I think there's one with John when Ian came in, I think his name was getting thrown out, they recovered it. Like, it's like, oh, what's going to happen? We're getting, you start getting to the votes a little bit, everyone's kind of scrambling. You see a lot of stuff kind of going on. And overall, it's like, you're starting to see, like, the McKenna, is it going to be McKenna? Is it going to be John? Like, what's going to happen? Who's going to side with who? And ultimately, you get to tribal council. Like this is one of my favorite tribal councils of the whole season, I would say, because I get there and everyone's just like, and I'm like, what is going on? Like they're just all sitting there, and everyone's like, we don't know what's going on. Like nobody knows. We're all friends. This is really weird. Like you don't know who you can trust because the thing is, we trust each other. We're friends. So now you're seeing people saying, I don't know what's going to go on. I don't know who I can trust. And you're seeing that. People are like, I can't trust these people, but like I want to because we're all friends. So like, ultimately, like, it's a thing. It's kind of really funny, like how that plans out. And everyone's like, this is going to get stressful. And now they're realizing it after Lily just got cut from underneath her. They know people are trying to play and everyone just freaked out.
So, yeah, like, I mean, I feel like last episode, they definitely cut out a social threat. And I felt like this episode, they're like, we need to go with somebody who's more of like a strategic threat moving forward. And I think that's why John's name came out to be, because at the end of the day, it was McKenna, who's also another social threat, or John, a strategic threat at this point.
Right.
So,
I think something about like back on the point of them all being friends, something that I found interesting is like I guess I kind of talked about this with Victoria too, but who you see as threats is a little bit different too, because they know each other pretty well. And a lot of them have seen each other play different games and stuff or played together. And so like Ian's strategy has predominantly been like the meat shield strategy. Like he wants to be able to like protect people, and then have them need him to be there. But it's interesting because like they know how Ian is. And so that's why he's able to do that. Like, it's not like necessarily that he's shown a ton that's like, okay, we can't trust Ian, or like he is going to absolutely win this. It's like they know how Ian is, and they know how like he could be like, I don't know, seen as a threat from the other people. And so that's why I think it's interesting that like he's been using that strategy specifically. And then the same with John. It's like they know how John is in previous games, and that's why they know to like take him out this round, because like he is very vocal and he is very strategic, and like he is, I don't know, kind of like very much a threat strategically.
And you did bring up a good point, something I want to take up on. Like, Ian's playing this meat shield thing flawlessly. Hey, my name's going to come up every single round. Don't vote me. Like, Ian just getting people to kind of be like, okay, I'll keep Ian around. And like, now you see Ian's been using this since the merge, and people are still going for it. Now all of a sudden, Ian, at this point, spoiler, obviously John goes home. So now Ian's sitting in Final 7 by using this strategy, and he's just playing it so well. He's playing everyone like fiddles as of right now. And it's like ultimately what people are going to realize. You have to stay tuned to find out. But I think it's really showing how well Ian strategically thinks and how well he can be socially, that he can just get people behind him no matter what he is. And that's how Ian is as a person. Like, he's super social, super strategic, super like, how do I put this? He's a jokester. Like, he has people like him because he likes to fool around with people. Like, so he let people like are automatically drawn to him. I think that's really showing in this game that like people are like, I can get Ian later. Like, and I think that's what we've been seeing every round. People like Ian, say don't want to vote him out at this point.
Yeah. And pairing him with John up until this point was also really smart for him, because John's a lot more vocal. And so, I mean, it makes sense that they would take John out before Ian anyway. So I think that was smart on his part to make it seem that they're a pair, whether they were or not, but it's like making that the assumption was smart. Right.
And ultimately we do see, like, we do speak to Ian, we do get him into the tribal saying, I ask him, hey, what's going on in this game? And we're thinking, I'm sure Kylie's gonna love me for this. The Hannah Shapiro quote, is this trust clusters or is this voting blocks? And Ian says trust clusters. So what are your thoughts on the trust clusters?
I was interested. I was glad you asked that question, because I was wondering the same thing. It's like, obviously there's not alliances happening. To me, it's like, okay, what's the massive difference between trust clusters and voting blocks in a mini? Like, it's kind of hard to tell. But like, I thought it was interesting. And like they said, like, or what, I guess Ian was the one that said it, how it was like, okay, you're working with someone for 60 minutes and then it's the next round and then you move on. Like, I think that's really true. And especially when they know each other and they know the strategy that they tend to bring, like, it's a little bit easier to do that than with people that you just met.
Right. Like, I definitely seen minis. We've all played minis where it's just like steamroll. But I think in this case, you all know each other. There's just, there's big, you see it already. There's back and forth, strategic social. Like, it's like everyone's ping ponging, like names are coming out left and right because everyone does know each other. What is a threat in this game? Like, I think that this is really showing nobody knows who to go for, because nobody knows, okay, this person's close to X, but this person's close to Y, and the C person's connected to B. And like, you have to be careful who you throw out when it casts everyone that knows each other, really, because some of these people are best friends. Some of these people talk on the phone every single day, as we know. I think that's like, we see everyone weighing that out. Okay, we see that ultimately, like, people are like, okay, we can't tell X person that Y person's going the plan, whatever, not. And we start to really see that, and you start to see the wheels turning these people. Marvin, any thoughts about that too?
I mean, I think you said it perfectly fine, because I mean, I'm sure I will not speak on Kylie since I don't know her org experience, but with me and you, we've been in that situation before where we had to vote in clusters or have to branch out and actually work with new people in order to, take ourselves farther in the game. But at the end of the day, what you're going to stick with are the people you trust, even if you guys aren't closely working together.
Right. You ultimately see this where some people like Ian, who's close to John, does have to vote for John. And like, I think me have been in that situation where like, we've had to say, hey, I'm sorry, I have to let you go. Me and John and Ian are very good friends outside this. Me and Marvin are very good friends. Like, we both played games where like we've been like, hey, I'm sorry, I have to let you go here. We've had to cut each other. Like, that's ultimately what happens when you play a lot of these games with your friends. it's at one point you do have to unfortunately cut them 9 times out of 10. I think we are seeing that where everyone's like, I want to cut this person, but do I want what's more important? Cutting your friend? Like, what's better for your game? Cutting your friend or being left out of the majority and being taken out next? Like, it's these options that everyone's weighing out, and ultimately we see it's paying off, like, coming out. And as we get to the votes, the thing I want to talk about, what is Elijah doing? Like, has Elijah voted right once?
No, I just don't think he knows, though. It's like, yeah, I don't know.
Elijah's just throwing votes.
As we know, Elijah's just on the outs. Look at the group that he's with. No one's going to tell him what's actually going on, even if he's immune.
Right. And who did he vote for? Was it
this round he voted for Victoria?
Yeah, he voted for Victoria. Yeah, we see Victoria's name was out there ever so slightly, and Elijah's just throwing votes wherever they go. Like, it's like I would say last season, these people aren't turning into assignments. Elijah just doesn't know what the assignments are anymore. Like, he's seeing it. I think it's funny because I think ultimately what it comes down to it's the name that Elijah's throwing out. Elijah's like, that's the name that's going to stick, and Elijah's not talking to people. And I think Elijah's very stubborn that he wants to be in control. I don't think he realizes he's not in control.
Well, the only thing, like, I don't remember seeing him in a lot of scramble rooms, so I don't know who he was talking to. But there was one where it was like, I don't know, Ian and Kyle and John, maybe the four of them. Maybe that was what I was talking about earlier. But they like talked about Victoria there, and so it was like he was just like, oh yeah, that works, and then just like moved on. And I'm like, did you not talk to anyone else after that, or didn't? Yeah, like I just don't know where he was at.
He just, even in the rooms I was watching, as I'm sure you've heard from your friends, like, we have a certain room we can't really use the footage because it's unusable footage for certain reasons. Maybe so. I think it's in there probably, and I think that he's pushing Victoria. Yeah, it's back.
Yeah, so maybe he's pushing Victoria from that conversation, and then just didn't hit.
Yeah, because it was that conversation that they were having where he had mentioned that it was Victoria or John, and then that's when they all agreed, well, we don't want to do John.
Right. Okay. And because I wonder, one last thought on Elijah, like with Lily. And well, obviously Lily's gone, but it's like Lily, McKenna, and Carrie. The three of them were pretty openly working together, it seems like. So I wonder if he went to Carrie and McKenna and was pushing Victoria and they didn't want to do that. I don't know if we saw that, if so, but I'm curious if that was an avenue he went or if he just thought he was sticking with the boys.
Yeah, like we said, whenever we interview him, these are good questions to ask him and figure out. Like, he obviously wouldn't, if he's at the end or something, we'll have to ask him because obviously we see Elijah's just throwing votes at the door at this point. Like, and then we see him, ultimately we see John vote for McKenna and everyone else does vote for John. 4 votes come out for John. That's enough because at final 8 with the 4-5 with the 6-1-1 split, 4 votes is enough, right? So we see John come out, and I cut it off because I was trying to tell John to go to his confessional. Thank you for playing. Go ahead and meet Michael in confessional 1, but I cut that stuff out. And he goes, I'm bitter. Y'all are done for. Ultimately, we see John become the 3rd member of a jury, the 8th person voted out. We're on episode 7, but 8th person voted out. Ultimately, thoughts on John's game here?
I think he was doing what he had to do up until this point, and he just got, chopped. I think he could have gone farther had he not been cut at this point.
Yeah, I think like John's really fun to watch play. I think if he could have implemented a strategy kind of like what Ian did, it's like if he could have used it on Ian, then he would have gone a lot farther. But it's just hard because it's like he's a loud voice, and like it's easy to see him as a threat in a lot of ways. And if he's not hiding behind someone else, it's like he's going to be front and center pretty easily. So I think he played a good game, but also like I'm not surprised that they were ready to take him out because he is a threat.
Yeah, and that's what ultimately I was going to say the same thing as John. What I've noticed from John from watching him play multiple games, John is loud. John wants to be in charge, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the way to do that is let other people in charge and take control around this point. John was very vocal. John has been directing a lot of votes, and John isn't very good at his threat management. And I think John knows that. And we even said a recap. Our cast assessment. John's going to get taken around this time because he's making himself too threatening, and he always gets sniped because people are like, you can't let someone like John get to the end of this game because someone like John is going to win this game 9 times out of 10. I think John's a phenomenal player, but I think 9 times out of 10, the way he plays, this is where he's going to end up. I think overall he made it pretty far, I would say, for himself.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he played a good game.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, so ultimately, like we do, like I said, we do see him go, and we do get a good quote from him. I love all these people; they're so great. And the best quote I have to say we got from this episode is John going to Michael in confessional one. Michael's like, "All right, do you have everything else?" He's like, "Yes, I want to leave so I can go hang out with Lily and Ponderosa." Like it just John's so funny, and that's just like such a cute moment I found. Like he's like, "Let me go hang out with my friend and just chill out." I do have a little bit of the Ponderosa footage finally, so I'm going to be kind of airing that out just so you can see some what they're talking about. Yeah. So with that, we got to pick our favorites here. So I think it's only fitting we each can pick one person. But Marvin, do you think we should let our guests go first?
I think we should let Kylie do the honors and go first.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
okay, so I just pick someone?
You pick someone who you think had the best episode, and then the fans vote on that instead of who their favorite is.
Okay, so the whole time I was watching the episode, I was trying to figure out whose move this was because like a lot of people were in on it and multiple people had the idea. But like I mentioned earlier, like I think that I would give the edge to Kyle for this move because I think he played both sides really well. It was like obviously at the end, like I don't really know exactly who got Ian to vote for John, but I think that like Kyle listening in that one that one scramble room with all of them, he played that really well. We also saw him talking to Bill and Victoria about it early on in his confessional. It seemed like he had this move also kind of planned last round as well. So I would say Kyle, but I do think a lot of people played this round really well, so it's kind of a hard choice.
All right, yeah, I definitely think overall this is kind of Kyle's like you see from the beginning. I want John. It's time for him to go. And I think it works for him. Ultimately, we'll see if it pays off or not, at the end of the day. But Marvin, go ahead and pick your pick.
So mine is based off of the strategy that this individual's been going on, like having, and they're trying to, pitch this to everybody. And I'm assuming the two of you know exactly who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Ian. Ian is coming up with his strategy. He knows he's like literally the biggest threat in the game that's still there. And he's saying, I'm going to be a meat shield, keep me. So, because I will always, my name will always be out there. And I think that is a phenomenal strategy, especially as a big threat, putting your own name out there is like, hey, my name's out there, but keep me as a meat shield. Like it's a gutsy move, but as we can tell, it is working for him thus far. So I'd have to go with Ian.
Right. Definitely. I think I can't agree with you more. We talked about that earlier. Ian's definitely playing this really well. And I'm going to go ahead and nominate Victoria because I think Victoria is very clear. I want to make moves. I'm working with these people one round, these people next round. I don't think anyone, and she's like we said earlier, she's making the big threats got a line. She's not including herself in that. But she knows that she's very good at convincing. Victoria is so sweet, and she's so good at convincing people. She knows she's saying, "I know I'm a threat, but I'm gonna make them think like I'm not a threat." And we see it's kind of working. Victoria, Victoria lasted long in 2 challenges, and her name came out this round, but barely. And I think she's doing a really good at managing her threat level, and just kind of being really social, not making people see her as a potential target at the end of the day. All right, so now we do have to decide on someone for an honorable mention. Give some a 4. Who do you guys think? We'll throw out some names. I think options. Yeah, well, I can say we can do Carrie because I think Carrie recovers really well from being the only one, besides Elijah, being the only one left out of that Billy vote because it was her and McKenna left out. So I think McKenna and them two are recovered really well. They got one on their side out. I think that's a good option for one of them too.
But it's like McKenna did still get a vote, so it's like maybe we give the edge to Carrie because of that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think we'll recover from being left out of, and I'm sure we've all been there. It's when you left out a vote, it's not a great feeling. So, and I think Carrie being able to sit back and be like, I was left. I think she played it really well. She's like, hey, I was left out. I don't really know what happened. She kind of assessed it, sat back, and then she got her name, and she got the name. She kind of rolled with it, and she ultimately does recover and votes right this round, which is a big thing. Like when you're left out of vote, that's what you want to do. And I think, like I said, she did it really well, and she comes out of it without a vote. She's staying alive this game. I think ultimately, that's a good decision. If you guys don't have any objections.
I'm happy with it.
All right.
Yeah.
And before we get going here, I have one question for Kylie while you're here. So, with this episode being said, we have you on camera here. Who's your prediction for a winner as
Oh
we're
my gosh.
4 weeks away now?
Okay. Let me think about it for a second. So, how many? Okay, we're at final 8.
Final
Or
7.
Final 7. Okay. I mean, honestly, listening to you guys talk about it a little bit more, I'm starting to think like, well, okay, here's my thought process. I think that like what we were talking about with Ian, like his meat shield set strategy, that could prove to either get him kicked out super soon or take him all the way to the end. So I can't decide if I feel like he's going to make it to the end or not. I feel pretty strongly about McKenna. Like, I don't know if I just have like a good gut feeling with her or what, but I think that this like the last vote with Lily, like she got a fire lit under her butt to like, you know, work a little bit harder to like do some more strategy and also like make bigger moves. So I don't know. Can I pick 2 people? Or do I have to?
You got to pick the one.
I'm gonna stick with McKenna. I started the episode talking about McKenna, and I'm gonna end it with her as well. I think like I could see her winning. She is a very big social threat, and also like I think she has it in her to make some big moves. So I think she'll go the long haul.
We'd love to see it. You have to tune
I would
in.
love to see her win also. So
Yeah, I think like we'll have to find out. McKenna's a great character, and we really enjoyed her. She was one of the first people we locked in the cast, like almost instantly. Like we love McKenna. We stand McKenna. But anyway, with that being said, we have just what is it? So I have 6. So we got 7, 6, 5, and the final 4 and final tribal. So that's 4 episodes just left. We are getting close to the end game here. So yes, 4. Yeah, we're getting close to the end game here. So
dang.
final 6, final 4,
7,
final
down to 6,
6, 5, and then
1,
4.
2, 3, 4, then 5 for final tribal council.
So 7, 6, 5, and then 4 and final tribal are together. So it's the 4th. It's the last member of the jury, whoever gets booted in that place, and then it's the 3 at the end with the jury in the final tribal, and then we announce the winner there. Whatever. So it's like all that happens in the same episode. That's the finale with the 4 people left.
I'm lost.
I know it's 5 episodes left.
No, it's not. It's 4.
Because we're at final 7 right now.
Yes.
So that's 1 episode. Final 6 is episode 2. Final 5 is episode 3. Final 4 is episode 4.
Yes, and then final. No, wait, 4 and final. So the final 4 are the finale. So it'd be final 4 and final tribal in the same episode.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we do have 1 episode left. Ultimately, we have to see what happens. You know, there's just a few episodes left. We do have, as always, and we joined by Marvin and Julia this Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. John just get out of work a little bit late, so we're doing a later one this weekend, this Monday. But we are recaps over, so then just expect another episode back out this Friday, the final 7. Other than that, we are clear to go. I am your host, Jay Milligan. We got Marvin Burgos, our co-host, and the lovely Kylie Scruggs.